Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to tonight's Gers TV Deadline Day live show. We'll be live from 9 p.m. until 11 p.m. We will have Sai and Ryan come on later. But tonight, so far, we're joined by myself, Gordy and Jason. How are we doing, gentlemen?
I'm all right. Quite excited. Obviously, seeing a few new signings come in the door today. And yeah, after the dross that we saw yesterday, I'm happy that there's an international break that I don't have to watch us play for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm the same here. Gordy, how are you, pal?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks. At least someone's asking.
Good to be we all. I hope everyone's heart rates have calmed down after the excitement of all the drama and action yesterday, and the worst game of football I've ever seen in my entire life.
I know. Yesterday it was particularly poor from both sides. To be fair, I mean, this is probably the worst that both sides have been at the same time in a long time. Both sides are absolutely awful right now, and to be honest, this is probably our best chance to take advantage of how poor they've been lately and sort of hit the ground running, win the first Old Firm, go 3 points behind going into the international break. I think that would have been, well, not ideal, but probably making the best out of a bad situation. Now going 3 points behind an international break, a great time to sort of regroup and get the players all back together.
Would you like
think
to
that's
hear?
the most. Sorry, go on, Gordy.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a wee start. Would you like to hear a record
Oh,
that Rangers
no.
have created in the last 24 hours?
Go on.
Since the XG stats were invented, Rangers have recorded the lowest ever XG, 0.15 for yesterday's game. So there you go.
I mean,
an unwelcome record.
I'm not the biggest fan of expected goals. I mean, football's played in grass, not on paper. But I mean, you do look at the stats and you think 4 shots and none on target. You think that's got to be really worrying.
I think it just shows us exactly where we're at. Not just against them like yesterday, but against other teams this season. We haven't really looked like scoring. Russell Martin came out with a stat saying that we've had the most shots out of any other team in the league or whatever. But I mean, you can have 30 shots from 30 yards out, but how often are you going to score them? We're not creating enough clear-cut opportunities. There don't seem to be any patterns of play, in the final third. Yesterday, we competed a lot better than we have done in the other games of the season. But at the end of the day, it's the Old Firm. The players are going to be up for that game. The crowd's going to be up for it. So that's the least you expect. But this is an absolutely shocking Celtic team that we're playing against, and it's the most frustrating thing because they're that bad. We feel like we have an opportunity here to go in and overtake them this season, but we're not doing that. But we're not doing that because we can't create anything. We're not creating enough chances at all, and even in games like yesterday, we created 4 shots, 0 on target against a rubbish Celtic team, and I can't see how we improve this. I'm hoping with the new signing that we've made today in Shomiti, potentially, and obviously Miovski now in the door as well. And I thought he played well yesterday. I'm hoping that might change, but I feel like there's a lot more to it than just signing new players. I feel like the system that we're playing and the way he's got us set up, we're really struggling to create chances. I feel like the players, the confidence isn't there in the wingers. I feel like Ant-Man, he's gone backwards since he came. Mikey Moore's a young lad. I don't feel like he's really showing his potential yet. And Gassama as well. I feel like he's played his best stuff in the Champions League. But again, when it comes to domestic football and you're playing against teams with low blocks, we haven't yet shown it. And I feel like it's a real worry going forward that we're just not going to, Russell March is not going to, and the coaches aren't going to be able to get this team playing well in the final third.
Yeah, I mean, it's baffling, to be honest. It's so poor. I mean, as I said before, this is probably the worst that Celtic have been in a long while, and I know we're all saying it, but this is an absolute great chance to sort of take advantage of that. But no, I mean, the first 4 league games, 4 draws, it's not good enough, not winning a single game. And I mean, your centre forwards have scored, I think, 2 goals in the last 11 or 12 games or something like that. I think that may be in a stat that Gordy pulled out another week, a good maybe week or 2 ago.
It's still true, unfortunately.
No, yep, unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, it is. I think for me, Gassama and Asgard looked quite lazy, to be completely honest, yesterday, especially Gassama. I mean, Asgard he didn't really look too involved. I mean, he probably had one job, and that was to take Callum McGregor out of the game. And you know what? If he was told to do that, he did that well. So that's all I can really say in regards to the midfield. I think we really missed Raskin. I think if we had Raskin in that midfield, I think we would have won that game. Even the same with Lyle Cameron. I think we just missed a sort of physical presence in there because, I mean, you've got Asgard, Diamande, and Bacona Barron. I mean, it's all, whether they're tall or short, I mean, they're not really the most physical of players. So, although I do have to say, I think Connor Barron had a great game.
What I will say just on that, what would have given us a good chance of winning the game is if we played our wingers in the right positions. I understand Mikey Moore potentially wants to play on the left, and that's his favourite position. But after 25 minutes, why can't we get Gassama back on the left and try him up against Ralston on that side? Why are we sticking with wingers playing in their positions they're starting with for the whole entire game? Why can't we swap them around a bit, mix things up a bit? And then when Antman comes on in the second half, he then goes to the left, and Gassama's still on the right hand side. So I just didn't understand that move from Russell Martin. Why was Gassam on the right hand side for the whole time he was on the pitch? Didn't make any sense. And I feel like if he had played him off the left hand side and got him linking, because you know what he likes to do, he likes to cut inside. If we got him linking with Miofsky down that side of the pitch, we could have maybe created more chances and he could have been more dangerous. But to have not have tried that at all for the whole game baffled me.
Yeah, I mean, touching on Miofsky there, I mean, sorry, God, there you go.
No, I was going to pick up a couple of quick big things. So, yeah, both of you are correct. What you've said, I'll add a wee bit to it. And the fact that our wingers kept having to come inside as well to get the ball. There was absolutely zero link-up play between the midfield and the attack. The only time that we actually looked like creating chances was when we did send a long ball forward down either the flanks for Gassam or for Majorski, especially in the first half where he managed to use his physicality to perhaps have a penalty shout and then be close to creating chances. But the only time we actually looked like we were going to get in at Celtic is when we played the long ball over the top, which was the exact opposite of the way Russell Martin wants us to play. So that tells me a story in itself. And the second thing I want to pick up on is it's so frustrating. I don't know what it's like on telly, but seeing at the game and we get a throw in. I don't think one of our throw ins was a success yesterday. They were pedestrian, they were slow, they take ages. We let other teams form up and reform when we take a throw in or a set piece. There's no quickness whatsoever. And then the corners, Tavernier was back to taking corners and he trudges across the park. Takes about a minute to take a corner. And the same for the throw-ins as well. We just allow teams to reorganise and set up. And we've got players that are pacey. We've got Mikey Moore, we've got Gassam, even Antman when he comes on. Asgard's a young guy, he should have pace as well. And you see Majorski had a bit of pace. So if we can pick these things up, but it's super frustrating watching us play and everything is just pedestrian. Even the throw-ins, the corners, the free kicks, everything is just slow. And that's, in my opinion, part of the reason why we're struggling to create chances.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I
Jay,
agree. Can I come in there quickly? On your first point, I find it is interesting because Russell Martin has always been labelled with someone who's got plan A and that is all he goes for, not a plan B. But I did think he did play differently, like you mentioned yesterday, than he has done for his entire time that he's been at the club. And I'm thankful for that because I was fearing for the worst if he was trying to mess out with the ball out the back and we had the likes of Mieda, etc., pressing as high up the pitch. I thought that was just going to be a recipe for disaster. So I did like the fact that he did mix it up. And I feel like this is what we could potentially see moving forward in the European games against the big clubs like Roma and Porto, etc. Rather than mess with it out the back, let's get the ball up the pitch as quickly as possible and try and win the second ball higher up in the pitch in their half, rather than messing with it at the back. But on your second point as well, though, that's something that I picked up on. Every time we get a throw in, it's we'll just leave the ball there. We'll wait for the right back, Tav or Magoma to get up the pitch and have the fullbacks playing it in, throwing the ball into the pitch. And I'm like, get on with it because they're not going to be organised. As soon as we get on with it and we've got pace in the team, likes of Sam and stuff, you want them to have space to run into. But the whole time waiting for Tav to get up there to take the throw in, you're just wasting seconds. Same with corners, you're just wasting so much time. Why can't we just take a quick corner? Change the angles from the cross that's coming in, but we don't. We just charges up over to the corner flag. He takes the corner, it gets headed out, and it's like rinse and repeat every single time. But I also noticed a couple of times as well in our transition play. Every time there were times where Sam would get the ball or Asgard would get the ball, and their first thought isn't always to go forward. It's to hold it up and to pass the ball backwards. But I want to see us play with a bit of directness when we do have space to run into the space. I want to see players running off them. I want to see Tav busting the guts to get past Gisama on the overlap. I want to see on the same side Magoma doing that to get past Mikey Moore. So I want to see that a bit more. There's too many times where I felt like we could have broken, but then we just stopped and we held the ball and we passed it back the way. Again, letting them get back and letting them get organised. So I hope we can see a change in our approach moving forward in that, because again, that's things like that get the crowd up. When you have a fast break and you create an opportunity, you get the crowd up. But every time you go back, like, it just kills the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to touch on a comment that I'm sure you all would have probably seen pop up on the screen there. It was a stat that was thrown about after the game yesterday. Celtic committed 17 fouls and not one card was given. And the same, Rangers committed also 17 fouls and 3 cards were given. So I don't know if you want to maybe talk much about
that. I'll jump in because Peter, I think I was sitting next to Peter on Sunday, and we turned to each other and we said, we both said at the same time, we bet that the first yellow card in this game is going to go to Celtic. To Rangers, and it happened, and there was three yellow cards. I don't know what if you've seen it in telly. There was also quite a few off the ball incidents where the Celtic players seem to be tripping up the Rangers players and vice versa. But again, I think it happened in the second half. I think Diomande get booked for doing that, whereas the 2 or 3 times that happened before, no action was taken. And one thing that I will mention as well, as soon as Rangers commit a foul or there's any kind of instance in the game, Callum McGregor and the Celtic players instantly surround the referee. Instantly, even when that goal was chopped off, you've seen the Celtic players go to the referee and surround him and talk to him. Whenever there's that incident that happens against Rangers, Tab doesn't speak up. He doesn't go to the referee, and when he does go to the referee, it's like a schoolboy getting spoken to about his teacher. I just feel as if we could show a bit more passion in that department as well. Because make no mistake, referees might say they're not, but you've got Celtic players in the referee's face for 90 minutes when things happen. That can influence his decisions, and I'm very much of the opinion that contributed to the Rangers yellow cards yesterday. But yeah, 17 fouls for Celtic, not one yellow card. It's absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge that I'm actually going to talk about was one from Anthony Ralston, and it was, I believe, Mikey Moore that was running down the left-hand side, and Anthony Ralston almost throws his arms. I'm going to use my arms here. He threw his arms right across and sort of pulled him away, dragged him away, which I thought was very, very harsh on us to not even give even a yellow card for that. It was a very, very bad challenge from Ralston. I mean, you could even say he was denying a goal-scoring opportunity, because I think if he gets past it, he's through 1-on-1 with Kasper Schmeichel.
There was a few times that things like that happened. There was one occasion, I can't remember who it was on their team, but I think it was Diomande who got past the player near the byline, and there was like space to run into, and he got tripped up. But again, that wasn't a yellow card. I think it happened in the first half at some point. But you know that if that was on the other side, we would have got booked for that. And there was a couple of instances like that, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe the referee's just going to let things go this game. But then you see in the second half, Mikey Moore, a great challenge on the edge of the box. For me, he wins the ball cleanly, and he gets booked for it. So I don't see the consistency there, and that is the issue. But going back to the point you made, Gordy, I think it does play a part. The fact that we lack that leadership within the team. You see all of their players surrounding the ref. That's putting pressure on the ref. If they do that from the first foul onwards, once it gets to the sixth foul, the cards are going to start coming out because the referee's under that sort of pressure. They're only humans at the end of the day. We need to be putting that pressure on them, not just the players on the pitch, but the coaching staff on the sidelines. We need to be putting pressure on them constantly in games because we know that's what they do, and that could be the difference between someone getting booked and someone not getting booked. And as soon as that person's booked, if Diomande gets booked, for example, he's running a walking a tightrope for the rest of the game. So he may have to pull out challenges and open space for them later on in the game, which can be vital. That could be the difference between 1 point or 3. We need that leadership on the pitch and to get the players into that mindset of doing that and making sure Tav should be the first person over there. and make sure he's in the ear, the referee, because I want to see them starting to get some bookings in these Old Firm games.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can talk a little bit about the one or two, even two penalty claims that Rangers had. I think I'll talk about the first one because I can't actually remember the second one. I was actually working, so I never really seen much of it. I just heard there was a penalty shout as well. But the first one I did see, and it was Miovski, and I believe it was Liam Scales. At first, in real time, I thought that looks like a penalty. It looks like a bad challenge. It looks like he's tucked him up in the box. But when I see a replay, I sort of, maybe not slowed down because I complain all the time about how slowing things down makes things look a lot worse. But once you slow it down and sort of zoom in on it, it actually looks like they both sort of trip over each other. Maybe even Miovski kicking him. So, yeah. In fact, no, I do remember the second one, and it was a similar situation to actually when Dessers scored against Celtic at Ibrox and it got chopped off. I don't know, you'll probably remember it. It was Dessers and Navrowski, the Celtic centre half. Dessers basically sort of steps in front of him, wins the ball off him. I mean, it was a similar situation. That foul was given against Rangers in that Old Firm, which we lost 1-0, but it wasn't given there at the weekend. What's your thoughts on that, guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've not seen, and I use this word in inverted commas, the highlights of the game. So I can only go on what I've seen at the stadium. And my first reaction was it wasn't a penalty, or I'd be very lucky if we got a penalty out of either of these, to be perfectly honest. That said, I think that again, it was very strange when the penalty claim. No Rangers player actually, claimed for it. I couldn't see any Rangers player claim for it. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seemed again no passion, no kind of like spirit for challenging and putting pressure on the referee for the penalty. And I don't think either one of them were penalties, if I'm being perfectly honest. But that's only from being at the game, kind of in real time. If there's highlights or anything like that show it was a penalty, then fair enough. But yeah, I just don't personally think it was penalty, to be perfectly honest.
There was definitely contact. There was definitely contact in the box. However, it's one of those. Not every time there's contact is going to be a penalty. So it's one of those. If the referee gives it, I don't think VAR will overturn it either way. But he didn't give it, so VAR didn't intervene. I think it's one of those. It's on the line. Could have been given on a different day, but at the same time, it goes back to the whole leadership piece again. Who's screaming for it? Who's getting in the referee in his face, trying to get him to make a decision in our favour? I don't think anyone did at the time, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I haven't seen it back either. But watching on the telly, I can't remember seeing James Tav or anyone else getting up and then asking for him to make a decision. But yeah, one of those.
Sorry. I know. I mean, as much as I don't think either two of them are penalties, the one thing that I do have to moan about is that there's no consistency in these referees. And Jay, I know you touched on it earlier on, but there's absolutely no consistency. I mean, you look at that challenge that I mentioned with Alston. I mean, he basically gets his arms across and literally drags him off. But then you look at the Mickey Moore challenge that I believe Jay mentioned as well. Perfectly clean challenge. Might go in, maybe a wee bit rash, but he fully gets the ball. It doesn't risk the opponent and endanger the opponent or anything like that. So I don't see why even a foul was given, never mind a yellow card.
Yeah, I just want to make one quick point as well. Obviously, Rangers are the home team, and I thought we had the more passion, determination to win. Because somebody explained to me how there was only 3 minutes injury time, when I believe each team made 5 subs, or at least four or 5 subs each team made. And then I remember Celtic players got injured quite regularly, having treatment on the park. They didn't even tell the players to leave the park either. So there was 2 or 3 instances in the second half where both Celtic players were getting treatment for at least a minute and a half at a time, and there was 8, 9, 10 subs made throughout the game. So yeah. Rangers, the home team, obviously we weren't creating anything, but if we did an extra couple of minutes to maybe create something, you never know what might have happened. So can someone tell me why there was only 3 minutes of injury time yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all either, because Asgard had that injury in the first half as well and went down. Second half even, sorry. And that must have been at least a couple of minutes by the time he got off the pitch. And that's just one player, let alone all the other substitutions. You're talking at least 5 or 6 minutes added on time. So how they came to 3, I have no idea. But again, who's like the referees don't come out after the game and explain this sort of stuff. So I feel like we need to be asking, and as a club, we need to be asking the question: how did they get to the 3 minutes? Like, what were they including in that 3 minutes?
Yeah, because how
They
many
need to be
goals do we
public
see
with it.
Celtic score? How many times do we see Celtic getting winners in 95, 96, 97, even 98 minutes domestically?
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems to me, now I'm not saying it's anything untoward, may well be, I don't know, but it just seems to me very strange how consistently, when Celtic are chasing a win or even chasing a point, there seems to be 6, 7, 8 minutes of injury
Yeah,
time.
12
And
minutes.
that example yesterday was absolutely shocking. 10
I know.
subs. Now, you're supposed to add on 30 seconds for each sub.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, like, so that's 300.
That's
What's that?
5 minutes alone.
Exactly, Lewis, mate. Exactly. So that's 5 minutes on its own. Plus, Maeda was down injured for 2 or 3 minutes. The ref didn't even ask me to go off the park either. That's a separate matter. And then Asgard as well. So, yeah, it's just taken on its own. It's not a big deal. But you add in the fact that there was three yellow cards to Rangers, 17 challenges for Celtic, no yellow cards. You take in all these little things, it just starts to build up. And yeah, it goes back. There's no Rangers player on the park or even on the bench chasing this up or on the situation at the time, getting in the referee's face or whatever. If Russell Martin was really desperate for that win yesterday, he'd be ranting and raving about injury time. If he was
Mm-hmm.
really desperate and really convinced we were going to win, the first thing he would be saying, first thing I'd be saying is, how the hell was there only 3 minutes of injury time? We were
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
we
no, I
had
mean,
a chance to get it up.
I'm good at touching that as well. I mean, just a little bit. I think, to be honest, both teams like to be playing for a draw. There was no sort of attacking threat from either. I mean, Celtic's first corner came in the 80th minute, 75th, 80th minute. I think, and Rangers never had a shot on target. I mean, it's no wonder folk laugh at the Scottish Premiership. I think. I mean, it's crazy how the first Old Firm of the season, no team's actually wanting to win the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would have been, go back to your point, Gordy. It would have been interesting if we were 1-0 up. How many added on minutes they would have added on, because I feel like it wouldn't have been 3 minutes. I'm pretty confident it wouldn't have been 3. But yeah, like you say, Lewis, both teams wanted the draw. I think Russell Martin feared for his life if we lost that game, and it looked like it. I feel like we were, and that's probably why he changed up as well. He didn't play his normal style of play, because he just did not want to lose this game of football, and he was happy to come away with a draw, because at least that in his mind will be an acceptable result at home in a derby, which of course it's not. You have to win your home games, and they would have been happy with a draw. They're 6 points clear at the top of the table. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
so he would
you'll-
have they would have been happy, because you got to think they know for a fact that we'll drop more points against the rest of the teams than they will. They know that for a fact, and now they've gone away. They've gotten rid of one of the away Old Firm games off the calendar without being sort of damaged in any way, because now they're still 6 points clear, and they can carry on their merry way, and we've not put any pressure on them whatsoever. We win that game, it goes down to 3 points. It potentially puts a little niggle in their mind that things might not be going all their own way this season. But now, I mean, they're 6 points clear. We got Hearts at home after the international break, and I have absolutely no confidence that we'll go into that game and get a result. You know, because they're flying as well. They're joint top with 10 points, and Celtic know that they can just carry on what they're doing against those other teams, and we'll continue to drop points.
Yeah, no, I mean, you look. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, well, another wee couple of minutes. Yeah, no, I'm just going to touch on what you were saying, Jay. They were more than happy, I think, with a draw. Especially, I mean, you looked at Brendan Rodgers going over to the away support yesterday and applauding them. The away support looked to be applauding them back. So I think Celtic were more than happy with a draw. I mean, as you said, they're 6 points clear. I think they would have probably wanted to go 9 points clear, and they probably. I think they were lucky. I think they got lucky and we got lucky that both teams played utter garbage, to be honest. And I've been saying this. I mean, we were lucky. I mean, I think. Well, I mean, both sets of fans will be saying that they were lucky that the other team played poorly. But I think even if that's Philip Clement's team, and as much as I don't really sing his praises that much, but if that was Philip Clement's team out there, I think he would have beat them a good 2 or 3-0. And I think there would have been a much more attacking threat, to be honest. I mean, as much as Clement played a sort of slightly similar style to Russell Morton, he got forward a lot more. And the only attacking threat that we actually had was a goal that was chopped off for offside, which, I mean, it was offside. It was very clearly off. I mean, I said it before it even went to a replay, but it's just, I've not got much to say, to be honest. It's because not got much to say because not much actually happened during the game. But yeah, I mean, we can come on to some comments. I mean, and we'll come on to, of course, the deadline day news as well.
Right, so just some comments just about the game and some Peter McCready's just agrees no moves for throw-ins. But it's been an interesting comment about, and that's just the reason why I said it, because Peter says the autonomy the referee has should be removed and they should be made to face the press after the game and explain decisions. Now, it's all about transparency, it's all about consistency, so I personally think that would help. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? Can you think should we ever see a day when the referees are questioned after the game?
Yeah, I think so. I completely agree. You know, why can they
have-
make decisions and not come out and explain the decisions that they're making? Because they have a huge impact on the way the game goes. You know, I think they do that in other leagues though. I feel like they do that
I've seen
the
that.
Bundesliga.
Yep, and I've seen it, and I believe the MLS as well. And the MLS also do have a thing where the referees actually shout out their decisions through a tannoy throughout the ground. Which, I mean, personally, I don't agree with that. But I mean,
they started doing that in the Premier League now, though, haven't they? After a VAR decision. Yeah,
I think they trialled it one time. I don't think we've seen it really much since then, but they trialled it one game. But yeah, I think if the referees were to come out in a press conference and explain if there was, say, a controversial decision, a controversial penalty shout, or a red card, or a goal that shouldn't have stood or should have stood, or whatnot, they should be forced to come out and sort of, explain why they made that decision, what made them come to that decision. Considering there's VAR there, I mean, it's baffling that the referees don't come to the right decisions because, I mean, they've got everything there to support them.
But I think the fans deserve that, though. I mean, how much money do the fans pay to go and follow their team week in, week out? And
the fans deserve transparency. Sorry.
Yeah, they deserve that transparency. And, football is an emotional game, I'm emotionally invested into football, into this football club, and it affects my day if things don't go well. So I would like the referees to come out and tell me and everyone else why he's come to that decision, because otherwise, I'm thinking about that and thinking, like, how could they put only 3 minutes added on time at the end of the game? Things like that. Or, if we didn't get a penalty, which I thought was a penalty, well, why didn't he give it? I need to know these things, and I feel like other supporters will as well, and I feel like we deserve that. So these are changes that need to be made.
Yeah,
totally I mean, agree. Football nowadays is sorry.
No, I was going to say I totally agree, and even if the ref gets it wrong, it would still be useful, I feel, for all, not just Rangers fans, but also even if the ref gets it wrong, even to understand why they came to that decision in the first place. I think that would help as well. If the referee comes out after the game and says, "You know what, I made a mistake. Here's what I was thinking. Here's how I interpreted the situation. On reflection, I can see it was wrong. However, here's what I thought at the time." And I think even that would go a long way to help supporters understand how referees make their decisions, but also it would lessen the impact and lead to less criticism, in my opinion, just my opinion, because you would at least have some sort of explanation. Now the refs just hide behind this kind of wall of silence, and sometimes that's what makes it even more frustrating for fans like ourselves and clubs, because they just don't know what's going on. And so that's just my little opinion on that, to be perfectly frank.
Yeah, no, I mean, a comment there from Peter McCready saying that the MLS, rugby, cricket, and umpires are all told to come out and sort of explain their decisions, which, I mean, it's something that we need in football, and as much as he said the MLS there, is something that we need in the bigger leagues as well. I mean, obviously, your top 5 leagues, you've got English League, Spanish League, German League, blah, blah, but we need it in the Scottish game as well, because the Scottish game is one where the referees have been criticised for years and years and years for whether it's one-sided decisions or whether it's just pure bias or just inconsistency within the decisions. I mean, I think it would be great. I mean, football in general is a game that nowadays lacks transparency, whether it's from players, managers, owners, or even referees, as we're talking about now. So I don't think we will see a sort of press conference, well, not a press conference, but an interview with the referees anytime soon. But I would love it if we did. I'd be very surprised.
No,
Okay,
and
should we move
like
on to-
Gordy, just to add on, like Gordy says, I think we slate the refs all the time when they make wrong decisions, but I think we would be able to respect them a lot more if they came out and told us, the reasons for, because it is a tough job. I think it's made a lot easier now that we've got VAR involved, because you have that time to slow it down and to come to the right conclusion. But the game goes quick, and it's so easy to make a mistake or to miss something. So at least a bit of an explanation would go a long way.
I hate to interrupt this, just in, Rangers have now just announced Derek Cornelius as our new number 13 and as a new centre half. What do you make of that, gents?
Yeah, I think we'll come on and talk about kind of transfers now. I think obviously it is transfer deadline, so a couple of interesting departures today as well. Oscar Cortez has went on loan, I believe, and Dessers has actually just released a statement on Twitter thanking the fans for their support during these, shall we say, turbulent couple of years at the club. But we have announced obviously Shemeni. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it for Everton.
Yusuf Sharmiti.
Sharmiti, a big fee, and of course Cornelius. I think I was going to say this: we needed another striker, another defender. Cornelius, I think, is a great signing. To be perfectly honest, I think he's very experienced. I think he'll add that bit of backbone to the back team. Hopefully a bit of leadership as well. My limited knowledge is that he's a kind of back to basics kind of old kind of fashioned defender. Doesn't really get much. Not a great passer of the ball, but kind of no nonsense solid centre back. And I think, irrespective of Russell Martin's style of play, I think we need that leader at the back that can just get in about it and just be a solid centre back. So that seems to be a good bit of business for the club. He played a lot of games for Marseille last season, so he's still a valuable player for them. So I'm pleased with that signing. I'm very pleased with that signing. And if you guys want to come in there about Cornelius, I'll come back with Shemenzi later on.
Yeah, no, well, I'm just going to actually talk about this fantastic graphic that we've got here that was actually made by Jay. It just sort of displays our squad depth and the options that we've got sort of on the bench and in the reserves as well. So if you just want to talk about that, I mean, you look at that, you think that's some good squad depth. I mean, you think there's a lot of quality there, and I do think there is. There is a lot of quality there. I mean, you've got obviously Butland, who we know, Cornelius, who I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I don't know much about. I've not seen play, but from what I've read, as Gordy said, he's a very experienced centre half, left-sided, who can also play at left back. I actually don't know where we'll see him. I think we could possibly see him featuring more at left back, considering we've not got many options there. As much as Dujon Sellin's there in the graphic, I mean, we're going to probably be seeing him out until at least November. So I think we will see the boy Derek Cornelius play at left back more than centre half, anyways, until Sterling comes back. But the midfield as well, there's a lot of quality in there. And I've got to say, I think majority of Rangers fans are actually surprised to see Raskin still at the club and not be moved away. I think the Russell Martin and Raskin, I believe Russell Martin and Nico Raskin held talks today, and they came to a conclusion that Raskin will stay at the club, which personally I'm delighted at. I think it feels like a new signing to me, to be completely honest, because after seeing it yesterday that he wasn't in the squad at all, not even on the bench or in the starting lineup or anything, it looked to be all but confirmed that he was going to be moved on. But I'm very happy to see that.
Yeah, I think that's huge, by the way, that Raskin stays, because but not only just because he's a quality footballer, and I think he was our best player last season, but the fact that he wants to stay at this football club, and it's not down to not being able to get a move away and his mind was elsewhere. I feel like he's always wanted to stay at this football club this season, but he's had disagreements with Russell Martin because he's not been starting. He's been looking at Rothwell starting in his position and performing so dreadfully, and probably thinking, look, Russell Martin, I was the best player here last season. How are you not playing me? How are you not even giving me the opportunity to show you what I can do? Straight away, you put me on the bench and this Rothwell's coming in, or he's playing him out of position. And you're thinking, if I was Raskin, I'd be like, I was the best player at this club last season, playing in the number 6. This is the position I enjoy. Now you're asking me to do X, Y, and Z, playing in the number 8, playing in a way that doesn't suit me, doesn't suit my strengths. I would be fuming with that as well, to be honest. So I hope that they have settled on and spoken about what the disagreements and whatnot, and they've and Raskin can come back into the side and be the number 6 that we need, because I feel like we really missed him yesterday. And and I'm buzzing that he'll stay because I really like him. I really like his character. I feel like he gets the club. He understands what it means to be a Rangers player, and I hope he can show that this season. But if I just look at this graph, then so we've got 22 players there. If you look at 2 players per position, then you've got your third choice goalkeeper as well, which would make it 23. And then there's then you'll have in addition to 2 players to make the 25-man squad. And if you look at the top there's a number of players that that still haven't got moves away from the club, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get those moves before the end of the window. So if you look at Bajrami and Dowell mainly, are they going to get the game time? If you look at that midfield, they got Asgard, Barron, Cameron, Diamande, Raskin, and Rothwell. Those 6 players aren't going anywhere. You can't keep both Bajrami and Dowell. I reckon you could keep one of them. So is one of them going to get a move away? I think time might be running out. I've not heard anything today. Matondo as well. I think he's still recovering from a knee injury, so he'll probably be around, not playing any football until sort of the January transfer window. Danilo will stay, I'm sure, and he'll be the third choice striker. I can't see him being happy with that though. You saw his reaction in the Europa League last season when he didn't come on. Barry refused to bring him on. I think it was Fenerbahce at home, to now go from being the first choice striker to the third choice within a matter of a week. I don't think he's going to be too happy with that. But yeah, there's still some, not just looking at like incomings and stuff. There's still a number of outgoings that probably need to happen in the next hour and a half. But we've got that partnership, haven't we, with a few of the lower league clubs, and I'm not sure if we need to make deals with them before the transfer deadline closes, or because we've got partnership with them, we can do some sort of loan agreements throughout the season. Because potentially NCL
loan agreements. Sorry.
Go on.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Loan agreements can be made throughout the season, so doesn't need to be within the transfer window. I don't think anyways. Yeah,
so you look at King, NCL, and Rice potentially going to one of those clubs if they can't get moves today. But yeah, then I think the decision has to be made on Bajrami or Dowell, because I can't see them both staying for another 6 months, and they won't be on small wages either. So probably best to get them out.
I mean, Bajrami was linked to.
That's okay. I was going to say that I read today that Salah had joined Dynamo Kiev on loan.
Has he?
I believe so. Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know. I can't remember when I read it, but I'm sure I read somewhere.
I did read something like that as well. I'll do a quick check on that. Actually,
he's on his way.
That's why I just came in there, because I'm sure I read that Salah had joined Dynamo Kiev on loan, which so another club probably thinks he's got potential. So
I don't think it's been confirmed yet.
It just looks like there's links, but yeah, as Jay said, I don't think anything confirmed. I'm going to go on to Bajrami actually. There looked to be a sort of strong interest from Sevilla to take him in on loan. Sevilla are obviously probably one of the bigger clubs in Spain, also one of the Europa League giants, as I'm sure you all know. I think a move actually fell through. I think it was supposed to happen, but obviously didn't. Sevilla are a club who, they struggled last season, barely avoiding relegation. So I think that would have probably been a good enough move for him, I think. I'm quite surprised and quite unhappy that it's not happened, because I don't mind him. I think Bajrami showed glimpses, but overall he seems a bit lazier, to be honest, than our usual sort of attacking threats. As much as I spoke about Gassama being lazy on Saturday, not Saturday, Sunday, I think that may have just been a one-off. But yeah, same with Bailey Rice, to be honest. I'm surprised that move never actually happened with him, with the amount of interest that was from fellow Scottish clubs. I mean, Falkirk and Motherwell as well.
He picked up that injury though, didn't he? Against who was it against? Was it Borough in the was it? Oh no, was it in the cup game? Was it the cup game? Alloa. Yeah, I think he picked up an injury in that game, so I'm not sure if that has just is going to keep him out until past the transfer deadline day, so he won't be able to get a move. Potentially that's
we might see him join Wraith Rovers or something like that until January.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
Throughout the season when he comes back. Because same with Leon King, and even in Ciala, if that move to Dynamo Kiev doesn't happen. So yeah, I mean, plenty of young talent as well in there. I mean, you've got Sander Hutton and Josh Gentles as well. They're ones that come to mind. I believe Mason Munn actually joined Dunfermline on a loan. I don't know if it was as loan or permanent. I know Robbie Fraser joined them on a permanent deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's alone.
Is it a loan for
But-
Mason Munn? Okay, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, on you go.
I tell you what, I wouldn't mind keeping Bajrami though, because watching Asgard at the weekend, there's just something about him that I don't quite like at the moment. I feel like he is very slow. I feel like he doesn't know how to sprint, and I'm not entirely sure yet if he's going to be able to play in some of the bigger games. So maybe having Bajrami around, I mean, he's got more experience, and I feel like there is a better player there than we've seen, and maybe we can get something out of him this season. I just worry that if we send him out on loan and we stick with those options that we've got, we might be missing something in that midfield. Yeah, that's my worry. I think Asgard, I'm still not convinced by him in the cameos I've seen of him. And like I say, like he just looks so slow when we're trying to play a more high pressing style of football. I think that might be an issue. But I'm hoping Asgard will be good against the lower level opposition, the likes of Falkirk, Livies and stuff when we're playing them, and we're going to control the ball and being able to find the spaces in a tight defense. So I'm hoping he's going to come good. But from what I've seen of him so far, I have been a bit disappointed, because especially with like the pre-season, apparently a lot of people were raving about him. I'm still yet to see it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm keen to say it. Sorry, Gordon, on you go.
No, sorry, I'm just going to come in and Bajrami there as well. I agree. Like, I think there's a player there somewhere. I think he played in Serie A. He's an international player. He's been linked with good teams, like you said, Lewis, Sevilla, etc. What frustrates me about Rangers, that they played him out of position most of last season, and I think that's the same again this season as well when he's come on. And when he comes on, it seems to be like a kind of cameo for the last 10, 15 minutes where he's basically just put on any position to make up for some tired legs. So I think it's a player that when we bought him, he was promising. And yeah, I totally agree with you. We haven't seen the best out of him, but I believe that the majority of that reason is because he's been put out of position, and that's going to affect your confidence as a player. If you're not in your natural position that you like playing, and yeah, it's good for the team, but he was a big money signing. I think it was 4 million, and it was just yeah. I just think it's bad man management and bad people management when Sevilla. I mean, like I'm going to come in for him. That tells me there's something wrong with the way we've handled Bajrami since he signed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, as you said, there is a player in there with Bajrami. I think it's a shame that he was played out of position, but I think we've seen that with a lot of players last season, to be completely honest. We've seen that with a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed, but I mean, I'm glad that Bajrami's staying as well. I'd rather Bajrami as a backup option, certainly, over Dill. So I think we might see Dill go in the maybe January window if he doesn't go this window. So as we've not really seen much of him in the last few squads, as much as we all sort of joke about the love that Russell Martin and Kieran Dill have for each other. We've not really seen him in the squad the last few days. We've not even seen him necessarily come on. So
I feel that is a Dowell decision more than the Russell Martin one. I feel like Russell Martin would love to keep getting him in the squad, but I think he's probably said to him, look, the fans don't like me. They're booing me every time I come on the pitch. Like, I need to move away. And he probably wanted that move away. Didn't want to play anymore. Didn't want to get injured, and he stuck around for until January at least. So he's probably told him, like, get me a move, and I don't want to play anymore. Because I mean, it doesn't surprise me. The reaction he got when he came on. I think it was against St Mirren, was it? Oh no, Dundee was against. Sorry. Yeah, like he's not good enough to play for the club. The fans don't want him. So the best thing for all parties is to get him a move. And I hope he does get a move in the next hour and 15. I don't know if there's any news on him getting a move away whilst we've been live, but I've not seen anything.
Yeah, I mean, for me, booing Kieran Dill coming onto the pitch was an absolute disgrace. I think booing your own players is a disgrace. I think it's a disgrace to our fan base. I mean, we've got one of the best fan bases in the world, but sometimes it can be one of the worst as well for over criticising players' errors. I mean, these are players that are pulling on your jersey, your shirt. I mean, as much as they're not doing as proud, they're still players that are going out there and they're trying their best. So I think it's an absolute disgrace. I mean, booing your own players, I mean, say what you want about it. I mean, it's only my opinion at the end of the day. I've never booed Rangers in my life. I think it's going to be my team. I don't think you can call booing and not necessarily criticising, but just booing your own team. You can't call that supporting them for me, anyways.
Well, I'm on the fence with this. I'm not a kind of a boo boy where I'll boo every game. But if I feel a player hasn't contributed or hasn't tried, I mean, yeah, I certainly agree that if as long as a player goes out there on the pitch and does an honest, hard working graft for the club and for the team and for the fans and for himself, then there shouldn't be any question. And you're absolutely right to boo somebody coming on is out of order, and that was not nice. That wasn't a nice atmosphere. It wasn't a nice situation. But if, for example, you've got a player that doesn't look interested, that does his best to get booked or sent off, whatever like that, then yeah, I
Yeah,
think
of
the
course.
fans, I've got every right to boo in that kind of situation. Does it
Yeah, of
help?
course.
Not every week, but yeah, and so it really depends on the circumstance. But I mean, how else do you communicate your disappointment or anger with the team or with the coach? Like I've seen plenty of games in the Premiership where the fans actually chant the formation they want, etc. So, I mean, I think Man United were chanting 4-4-2 for a whole season a couple of years ago at the club. So, yeah, it's a tough one because I think it's down to personal choice. But yeah, in normal everyday circumstances, even when we get beaten, I've seen a lot of defeats, unfortunately. Now, I don't usually boo, and I would never really boo. But if I feel that a player has not given, 100%, and contributed to a heavy defeat, then I think the fans are right in that. All the players just haven't turned up for the game or whatever. I think in extreme circumstances, it can be merited. However, I think that it's a bit at the moment. It's over the top, and I don't really agree with booing at half time either. I think you come in, every player can have a poor first half, every manager can make a wrong decision. I think booing at half time is a complete no. And then it's up to the individual supporter what they want to do after that. But yeah, 99% of the time, I would never boo. However, very occasionally, and only when it's merited, with a lack of effort, would I boo.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, I don't think you can expect a player to play well and give their absolute 110% when you're booing them onto the pitch and letting them know that you don't like them, that you don't support them playing for your club. And I think, to be honest, I think probably the only player that I can think of right now that's actually deserved to be booed is Max Aarons against Club Brugge. 8 minutes into the game, you're getting sent off. I mean, it's a challenge that you probably don't need to make. To be honest, as much as it's a last man challenge, but you don't need to do it, especially not that early on, because you know for a fact that it's going to kill the game. You could even tell in the minutes before it leading up to it. I mean, you could just tell that he didn't want to be there. I don't think any of the players really wanted to be there, to be honest. And I think it's a shame to say that because it's your biggest game of the season that can get you about 18, 19 million pounds. I mean, we'll throw about this 40 million pound figure, but that's not true. It's about 18 or 19 million pounds that you get for entering the league phase of the Champions League. But even then, that's still massive for a club like this. And I mean, it's probably, as I said, it's probably the biggest game of your season. I mean, and I think players not wanting to be there for it, I think it just shows it. To be honest.
Do you know what? I was thinking earlier, we've got Max Aarons in on loan, right back. Why on earth did we not go for Nathan Patterson? Why didn't we bring him back? I'd much rather have Nathan Patterson back at the club on loan for a season. I don't know when his contract runs out, but I'd much rather have him back. Who knows?
He was actually linked to a loan. Funnily enough, he was linked to a loan move to Sevilla as well.
Yeah, I saw that. That's what I saw that today, and that's what made me think about it. I was like, why didn't we just go and get Nathan Patterson?
Why didn't we go for that? Yeah, right.
I would much preferred him back than Max Aarons, and I feel like he's a better player than Max Aarons as well. So
yeah, I mean,
he would have given us everything. He would not have made that stupid mistake to pull that player, down after 8 minutes in that away game in Bruges. He would not have made that mistake, and I would much prefer to have a player like him who knows the club, who loves the club, playing for us this season, than someone who clearly he's just like can't be bothered. He couldn't be bothered in that game. Got sent off. See you later.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing for me about bringing I'm going to move on slightly here about bringing the boy Derek Cornelius in. The one thing that worries me is that we could see a whole back four of players who are on loan. You could see Magoma, you could see Cornelius, Giga, and Max Aarons. That could be your back four, and they're all on loan at the club. None of them are on a permanent deal.
It's
laughable, to be honest. I mean, I think
it's
as Sai said maybe a few weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago, a loan is meant to be. It's from the big clubs to sort of beer clubs to let players get the game time. Rangers are not one of the beer clubs. Rangers are one of the bigger clubs across the world.
But I don't mind loan deals, right? If it's like a churner, you bring someone in like who's 27 years old who can add value right now. But my issue with some of the loan players that we've got, especially in Magoma and Mikey Moore, they've hardly got any first team experience. You know, like how many games have they played at a senior level? So how are they going to come in and add value straight away? We're almost like we're training them up for another club. But it's like I would much rather us find someone who's got 200 games under the belt in their mid-20s or whatever to come and play left back or to play left wing than the two that we've got. I mean, Mikey Moore, I understand that he is supposed to be this generational talent, a player that we could never afford, to bring on a permanent basis. But he's not proved that he's a generational talent. He's not had the experience, and then you're putting him into a situation where, playing for us it's like a pressure cooker, you're going to need to perform. You're going to need to perform now. Otherwise, like you say, the fans aren't going to be happy. The fans are going to be on your back and demanding. And so it's not the easiest place for them to experience playing senior football, So I just don't understand it really. I think if we were going to bring in loan players, we should have brought in loan players like a Cherney, someone who's been there, done it, and can add value now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same, and one of the other loan moves that I wasn't actually too disappointed with. I mean, is Malik Tillman joining from Bayern Munich a couple of seasons ago. I mean, I think as much as he's a young boy and he probably goes against what you were saying, Jay. I mean, bringing in a more experienced player and taking a chance on them. I mean, a player that can come in that can add value to the squad straight away. I think Malik Tillman actually could, and he did bring value to the squad straight away. I mean, he scored a crucial goal against Union Saint-Gilloise, and then got a crucial assist against PSV away. So, as I said, he added quality to the squad straight away, and he's also very young. And look what he's doing now. He's away. He's now at Bayer Leverkusen, signed Bayer Leverkusen, a £40 million fee, something similar like that. I mean, you look at that. I mean, that's fantastic.
What I will say though on the Malik Tillman one quickly is that we got him on loan with an obligation to buy. So there was that. You're looking into the future with that one, Whereas with Mikey Moore, it's just a straight loan. With Magoma, it's just a straight loan. So without having that option to buy or obligation to buy, it's like we're just training up someone else's players,
I'm gonna ask you.
When we didn't end up bringing in Malik Tillman because Bayern cancelled the obligation, at least we got paid for them cancelling it, So at least we got some sort of return on it, and it turned out that he was also a very good player, But yeah, like I say, I don't understand the current loan structure that we've got in place. Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to ask you one quick question about Malik Tillman here and about this whole sort of Bayern Munich situation where they cancelled the obligation to buy. I'm going to ask you this question because I truly don't know the answer to myself. Do you think it would have done us the world a good if we did use that obligation to buy and we did buy him? Or do you think that we benefited more from Bayern Munich actually cancelling it and giving us that sort of sell-on clause?
Well, did we get that sell-on clause though? Was that because I've heard conflicting reports on that?
I actually don't know. I'm the same as you. I actually don't know for a fact. Nothing's ever came out officially. Only just rumours. I think if there was a sell-on clause there, I think that would have probably benefited us more than what Malik Tillman staying here would have. Because don't get me wrong, he was here and we've seen that he had that raw potential. It was a bit like Agamani, to be honest, for me. I mean, he had the potential, but he just wasn't quite there for Rangers, I think, especially not at that time. But look at what he's doing now. I mean, I don't think, I'm going to be honest here, brutally honest. I don't think he would have reached the levels that he's at right now if he stayed at Rangers.
Yeah, I'll come in and I've read. I'm sure I read last week that there wasn't actually a sell on or a kind of buyout clause for that. But then you read different reports, so I think it'd be quite interesting if at one of the press conferences or there was a question that actually put the Rangers because it is quite important to find this information out. But yeah, I think that if we did get a sell-on clause in at that particular time, then it probably would have been more helpful and beneficial for the club at the time to get that money rather than the player. Because as you said, Lewis, would he have continued to develop or turn out the way he has? It's kind of one of these questions that you'll never know the answer to. But I just want to come back quickly and briefly on the loan situation that you talked about, Jay. I think that loans can be beneficial and can be useful. I totally take your point about the players, like Mikey Moore coming in, and they're more kind of development players, and we are, there to develop them. At the same time, the benefit of these loan deals, it does give us time to identify kind of longer term targets. So get somebody like Jigga in, for example, might fit the expectations for this season. Then it gives the scouts. Remember, we have got a brand new, sporting director, even though he's just going for players he knows, to be perfectly honest. But we have got a kind of new setup at club as well. So the main kind of benefit of these loan deals is that we should be getting the benefit of players that can add, as you said, value or at the very least depth to the squad. We probably won't be paying the full wages. So I'd imagine for somebody like Aaron's, we're probably paying half the wages, for example, rather than the full wages. And it gives us that extra bit of breathing room to maybe identify better players or more valuable players in a longer term option. So that's a benefit of it. However, as you said, Lewis, I think right at the start of this, I think the point, correct me if I'm wrong, but the point you were making is that once again, we could have to have almost a whole new defensive backline next season with the players we've got on loan. And
I
the
mean,
fact that we've got, the fact Suter's out of contract as well. So
yeah, I was just about to come on to
that's a
that as
concern.
well.
Yeah, so that's a concern as well. So you've got to weigh up at a club: do the benefits outweigh the negatives, if you like? Russell Martin and Tyrell seem to think they do. So you need to give them the benefit of that. But yeah, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a whole back line, for example, that's loanies, because come 8 months, 9 months, 10 months down the road, and potentially with Tav leaving this season as well, and Suter, I think if he was going to stay, he'd sign a contract by now. So yeah, I think it's poor planning to have a whole defensive back line who could possibly leave the club at the end of this season. But on the whole, I'm a fan of the loan system.
I don't think Suter's going to be a problem. I think he'll sign a new deal. I think he'll be a good option as a backup. I think he's good to have around the squad. He's got some experience, and he's obviously a home sort of player, so he meets that tick box for European football. And I think he'll sign it, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But we do have far too many players that aren't going to be in that defence next season. You look at in that diagram that we created earlier. You look at the right back situation. You've got Tav and Aarons. Tav won't be here next season, and so we're going to be looking for 2 right backs next season. I don't know the Cornelius deal. Is that just a straight loan? Is it no option?
I think there is some sort of option there to buy. But what I'm going to come in and say is that our back four, and I'm going to actually talk about this sort of graphic that Jay had up there. Si had up there that Jay made. Magoma, who's on loan. You've got Dujon Stellan, that's quite injury prone, that's out till at least November anyways, and we've seen that he's had problems with injuries before. You've got Cornelius that's on loan. You've got Fernandes, who's very inexperienced. To be honest, you can say what you want about his experience with Peterborough, but for me, he's still very inexperienced, still very, very young. You've got Suter that's out of contract at the end of the season, and I'm not too sure. I'm not so sure about him signing a new deal, to be honest. And you've got Giga that's on loan. You've got Max Aarons that's on loan, and you get Tav. Well, it's Tav. So just welcome Ryan as well there.
What's happening, boys? I'm just trying to sort this light out, 2 seconds.
Oh, you're absolutely fine. No bother, pal.
Yeah, going back to your point, I think that is a major concern. And if we do have an optional obligation to buy for Cornelius, and hopefully it turns out well, at least that will be another centre half that we can have for next season as well. So we're not doing too much for the defence. But again, when we look at Sterling, I think he's going to be gone in the summer. I don't think they're going to want to keep an injury-prone player like him around. So next year we're going to be looking at 2 left backs, 2 right backs, and 1 or 2 centre halves as well. So that's already looking at potentially 5, 6 players that we're going to need to get just for the defence. So it is a problem, definitely.
Aye, anyways, I'm just going to finish up anyways for us. So I think we're going to see Si come on now. He's probably all sick of seeing my face every week. So yeah, I'm going to give you a wee break. So I mean, it's been a pleasure to come on as well and share my thoughts about Sunday and my thoughts with the overall squad and the transfers in and out. So yeah, once again, as I said there, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to Goal Squad DJ, Si behind the scenes, and then now Ryan is coming on. So yeah, I'm just going to pass you over now to Ryan, and even Si is going to come on shortly now.
Yeah, I'm also going to drop if it's way past my bedtime. You know what I mean? That's 10 o'clock, and I need to be in bed for 10 o'clock each night these days, and it's getting way past my bedtime. So I'm going to bid you good night as well. Welcome along, Ryan. Guys, I'll speak to you through the week. I'll be back online soon. And let's hope for an exciting last hour of the transfer window. And, I'm sure that you guys will be able to summarise everything perfectly for all the viewers. So thanks very much, team. And I shall speak to you all soon. Okay, have a good night, and we are the people.
Good night, mate.
Cheers, Gordy. See you later, Gordy.
So, guys, we're currently at 350 odd live viewers now, which is a massive number, especially when there's quite a lot of other Rangers and football lives on at the same time. So the numbers are out there. So we thank everybody that's been joining us tonight. But we're always looking for your contributions, remember. So how's things, Ryan? How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. It's been a long day, hasn't it?
It has been. It's been a long weekend, to be fair.
I've had a quid for every time I've refreshed my phone today by a rich man.
It's been interesting the last couple of years, but the only thing I will say, guys, I do agree with most of the things you were saying earlier on, but this deal with the boy for Everton, quite concerning. The stats tell me right away that it's a massive gamble, because obviously every player in Scottish football is judged on their transfer fee. 8 million leading up to 10 million. And the agent is doing that, a well-known Everton fan, Thelwell. Their websites are laughing at it. They're telling us that it sounds like he's still working for Everton. It's a massive gamble. If it doesn't pay off, it's a lot of money have been lost.
I feel like Kevin Thelwell made this signing a couple of years ago for Everton, and he was so desperate for it to work, but he got a lot of criticism from the support because it hasn't worked, that he's trying to make up for that signing by giving him most of the money back anyway that he paid for. I think he paid £12 million, 50 million euros, if I'm not mistaken. Now we're already going to be giving him 8 million back at least, and then potentially going on to 10 million for him to make this work. But it's going to be, if this fails, he'll be gone. You know, I feel like the Cortez signing was the end of Neil's Coppin, in my opinion. I think that signing was a disgrace. How we signed him, how we got him on another loan with an obligation to buy after he was injured for half his first loan spell was beyond me. And I feel like this is the sort of same situation now for Kevin Thelwell. If this fails, if we don't win the league this season, he's injured for the majority of it, or if he's not injured, but he's just not up to the standard and doesn't score any goals, which, I mean, if you look at his history, he's only scored 3 senior goals so far. So, like, you know, he hasn't proven that he can score goals at senior level. If he fails, Kevin Thelwell's gone.
I mean, there is a chance that it can be a success and it could be a good signing, but it's a hell of a risk to be taking at this early stage with the new ownership and the fact that we've got an opportunity to catch Celtic this season. I do believe that. I don't believe that. I think there's a lot of unrest at Parkhead with our supporters. We need to get it right. £8 million for a boy that's relatively unheard of. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I'll come in on that. It's the second biggest signing in our history, money wise. Yeah. Above Kent, below Flo still, but it's very much an all inside. It's if it doesn't work, he could fall flat in his back in his face. You know, he could end up finding himself out a job. The money that he's used there's potentially 2 or 3 different players he could have went for with that money. Yep. But listen, it could be great. Another thing to say about it is it's great to get back to paying this, being able to afford to pay this amount of money for players, because for a long time we've not been in that market. We've not been in that kind of stall that we can afford it. We've been running around looking for cheap deals and trying to negotiate players on for next to nothing. And I think we paid Ryan Kent up over 4 years, the £7 million we agreed to pay for him. We practically put bloody gingies out to play for him. I nearly swore that it was that bad, but I think we were actually going about chippies looking for old iron brew bottles to pay for him with. It was that bad. So to get ourselves back in a position financially now that we're able to actually pay £8 million for a player is obviously good news. We pray and we hope that it works out. We hope the boy hits the ground running. He needs to, because we need somebody that's going to be able to score goals. We're playing 90 minutes at a home game against our biggest rivals, and we're not even able to get as much as a shot on target against them. So we need somebody that's able to come in and replace Dessers for a start, replace Egeman for a secondary side of things. So we need somebody that can replace Dessers' goals, but we need somebody that can replace Egeman's potential as well.
Yeah. Just a point I'll make on that, Ryan, and MG as well, you can answer this. You don't sign a player in Scottish football for that price, and he's not your leading goal, your leading attacker. So I would imagine to justify that transfer, I agree with Ryan, but to justify that, you have to play him.
It's going to be really interesting because Miovski is the proven goal scorer. He's shown he can do it in this league. Are you going to drop him for someone who's got 3 senior goals just because you paid $8 million for him? I mean, it's just signing.
I wouldn't imagine Miovski would have been too happy with coming to the club and then finding out they've just put somebody $8 million that's going to play ahead of him.
No, but is this a panic signing? Is this? I mean, I agree with you, Ryan, in terms of like we have spent money this summer, right? We spent a lot of money. We spent over 30 million this summer on players, which is great. This is something that we've been crying out for, really, this level of investment. But the start of the season, how dreadful it's been. Have we just panicked and just gone, right, we need to buy another striker. I'm bringing this guy in for 8 million. I mean, for me, it baffles me that if they had 8 million to spend, how are they spending it on someone who was injured for 171 days last season with 2 separate injuries, hamstring and a foot injury, and he's got 3 senior goals? I mean, out of all the strikers that you could possibly bring to the football club, they've chosen this player. I'm sorry, is it just me, or does this just reek of panic signing at the end of the window to try and just get someone in who could hopefully change our fortunes around? Yeah, madness.
I'm not so sure of the panic side of it. I watch what I'm saying. I don't want to use allegations or anything like that, but I certainly think it seems a bit dodgy when I see it's an Everton supporter, a guy that used to work for Everton, a guy that brought this player in before, and he's dealing with the same agent, and that kind of money's coming up for a guy that scored 3 goals. I would certainly say it's something to keep an eye on, and the club should be concerned if this doesn't work out. Then that would be the end of him with Thelwell. But it's £8 million. It's all right, so we can spend it. But it's £8 million we could really be doing with as well.
He started the firing ranges at his side because a lot of people blame him for the Martin hire. Do you know, I think the vast majority of our fans are done with it. There was a poll that was launched at the start of the weekend by Rangers on Tour on Facebook, and 10,000 people. It was basically put a thumb up if you would like Martin sacked, put an angry face if you would like Martin to stay. 10,000 people have put a thumb up, and only 51 people the last time I saw it put an angry face. So take that as percentages of the fan base and what they're there. And Thelwell isn't blameless for this. So, as far as I'm concerned, if it's Martin that goes, he needs to go as well, because it's 2 cheeks of the same arse.
The only thing I would say that's actually 3 I would go for, because I think Patrick Stewart's every bit as guilty.
Maybe as well. I mean, I don't actually think Patrick Stewart was here for the long term anyway. So I think obviously with John Bennett's health and stuff like he had to step in to replace wee Benny. So we hope John's doing well and stuff like that. He's still in our thoughts definitely, because it was a Rangers man that put his money where his mouth was when we needed him to. So we hope wee John's doing all right. But I thought Patrick Stewart was basically put in as a stopgap, and when the Americans came in, he's had a conversation, he's decided to stay on. So I don't really actually think he's got a kind of long-term future. The three, is it Fraser Thornby or something? That's the name of the chairman as well.
It's Fraser Thornton.
So I don't hear anything of him either. He's quite anonymous. So
never heard anything from him. Never heard a thing from him as a chairman.
But listen, that's not necessarily a bad thing as well, because sometimes if you're having to hear from these guys, maybe things aren't as great as what they should be.
So that's something I used to talk about on the Gers TV a couple of years ago, but getting back to the days, hopefully we can go back to the days where you don't know who's on the board, but you know who the players are, but we really don't want to have to be talking about boardroom decisions and things like that. So that's a good point. He may be doing a good job, I really don't know. But back to the Thelwell one, I think the fans are, when you're saying about that poll with 10,000 people that are against Martin, I would say you'll probably find that there'd be similar numbers with Elwell, and especially if this deal doesn't work out with this boy. It's back to what I'm saying. He's going to, if he's paying 8 million and it's going to be 10 million eventually, then he's going to be our striker. He's got to be playing every week, and if he's playing every week, I want a hell of a lot more than 3 goals off him for that kind of price.
I feel like it's a big risk. I feel like if he's going to be playing every week, we could. I mean, I don't want to be too negative about him because he's just come in the door. But I feel like if he's playing every week, it's based on price tag alone, not on ability in my eyes. Because Miovski's a proven goal scorer in this league. You don't not play a proven goal scorer in this league when we're desperate for wins for someone that you just paid 8 million for because he has potential. I don't want to see it. I want to see Miovski start. But going back to your point about the hierarchy, Patrick Stewart wasn't appointed by these new owners. He would have been, and they would have seen that he's got experience of being at other big clubs, which is at Manchester United for over a decade, and they will have given him a chance to bring in someone that he thought he could run the sporting side of the club, like Kevin Thelwell, and to then hire the manager and give him a shot at doing it. We have signed 14 players this summer, I think it is, something like that. If this fails, all of them will be gone. Patrick Stewart will be gone, Kevin Thelwell will be gone, Russell Martin will be gone. And I feel like at the rate that it's currently going, it will be before the end of the season, for sure. Because even if Kevin Thelwell sacks Russell Martin, right? Let's say it happened at halftime against Bruges, or it happened after the Old Firm if we got battered at the weekend. I do not trust him to bring in the next Rangers manager to make this club a success. I don't at all. I feel like he'll once again go back to the market that it's not working for him. And I feel like he'll end up with a Sean Dyche, someone like that, who is a good manager in his own way, but he's not a manager that is used to winning every week and that will get us winning every week. And I feel like if we end up with Kevin Thelwell making the decision on our next manager, we could be going down that route, and that really, really worries me. So I'm hoping if we do make the decision to sack the manager, it will be sacking that whole hierarchy as well.
And back to the chat regarding the fee for the player as well. Something that you need to remember is that Tory Andrew Flo was actually a really good Rangers player. He was I thought he was outstanding at times, but every time his name is ever mentioned in the media, the price tag was mentioned with it. And to this day, that still follows him about. And this is what's going to happen. This guy has to score. Dessers does 25 goals a season on average, I think. If he doesn't score more than the Dessers, then you would be saying, well, what is the point in the signing? It's a hell of a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Something I was going to say there, Si, when Jay was talking about sacking in there, right? And I said this a lot with Clement, Si, you probably remember, is at what point does this become unacceptable? At what point do we say enough's enough? For me, with Clement, it was the Queen's Park game. At that point, it became unacceptable. We still carried on. We played another few games, and it just started to get embarrassing there. I think the fact that we were still in Europe was probably the only thing that kept Clement in a job. But even at that, it still didn't save him because obviously Barry took us past Fenerbahce. But we've started 4 games of the season. We've drawn every single one of them. Mm-hmm. We haven't scored in our last 2 games, and we haven't even looked at scoring in our last 2 games. And especially the last one, considering there's no firm game at home. So
just to answer that, right, I might be wrong with a stat, so feel free, anybody that's watching, 370 people, which is fantastic numbers. Anybody that's watching, feel free to tell me I'm wrong, but if we play Hearts at Ibrox, if Hearts beat us, I'm pretty sure we go bottom of the league. I know that Russell Martin's saying that if we're only 6 points behind Celtic in the league, but that's if we start winning, we've got a chance of getting up the way. Right now,
I couldn't believe he said that. Si. I can't believe he turned around after 4 games, says we're 6 points off to make you should be top. You should be like equal, if not slightly above him after 1 game. Like
that tells you that he doesn't get it.
It's madness.
I especially also saying he was happy with the performance tells you he doesn't get it either.
So that's my answer anyway. If Hearts were to beat us in a fortnight,
they can't. No, because Aberdeen are still.
Aberdeen haven't got any points yet.
No, forget it. They're even worse than us now. You're right.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
I can't believe we're sitting here working out algorithms to stop Rangers going bottom of the league.
That's what it is.
After 5, this is where we are.
And I'll also say, guys, now you know how much I was critical of Clement. Right now, if I had the chance, I would rather have Clement being in charge of Rangers than Russell Martin.
But do you think Clement failed because he just wasn't a good manager for this league, or do you think he failed because he had so much to do behind the scenes, he couldn't just focus on the coaching, and he didn't get the players that he necessarily wanted? If Phil Clement was in the dugout now with all of this backing that he has and over 30 million to spend on players, I mean, I don't think I can't say that he would have gone and won us a treble and whatnot, but I feel like he definitely would have done a better job than what Russell Martin's doing currently.
Well, I certainly think he's entitled to be. If I was him, he'd be entitled to be asking the same question. I wasn't a big fan of him. I think that he underestimated Scottish football and Rangers. But saying that, it is a good argument on his side that you could underestimate it all you want. All of a sudden, he's doing all these other roles at the club, and that certainly took his eye off the ball, and he was struggling to buy players. So he's got a good argument. I just think that Russell Martin will never be accepted by the Rangers support now. This won't change. It's not a case of if they sack him, it's a case of when they sack him. And that is not good for the club.
No, and I feel like I was absolutely snapped. My head was gone on Sunday just for the lack of anything, really. I mean, yes, there was more determination, there was more fight. We'll more aggressive in the press, and our tackling was all right, but there was nothing there in terms of quality. Nothing that I could say that I can see that Russell Martin has been working on with these players, especially in the final third. There was just nothing there. You know, it's not hard to get the players up for an Old Firm game. You expect that. The crowd demands that, and they're going to feel that when they're on that pitch. So you expect them to win some of the 50-50s and this is a really poor Celtic side, by the way. But still, we could not create a single meaningful chance. We did not have a shot on target. Are we going to see an improvement against Hearts? Because if we do not win that game, he has to be gone. And I feel like, especially now, if you look at some of the managers that are now out there, if these owners have ambition and they want us to be playing at a higher level, they want us to be playing Champions League football, they want us to be winning titles, go and get a manager that has done that. Erik ten Hag had just been sacked by Bayer Leverkusen, but he won 3 titles in a row at Ajax. I would be taking him all day of the week over this nonsense that we've got in Russell Martin. You look at Jose Mourinho that's available. You never know. He's 62. I think he said before he took the Fenerbahce job that he doesn't need to be, and his next job, it will depend on the feeling that he gets from the fans and whatnot. He doesn't need to, and the club, he doesn't need to go and try and manage in the top of the Premier League anymore, you know? And we could give him that. So that could be a potential, good opportunity for him. If
I would have much rather spend £10 million on getting somebody like Mourinho as a manager of Rangers than I would an unknown Everton player.
But this is it as well. To add to that, what is more important, buying a striker for 10 million or having a manager there that can make the whole team work as a unit and progress in the right direction for 10 million? I'm putting my money on a manager that can get this team.
A manager all day long, because you heard the support at the weekend. The supporters were very vocal. There was banners outside the ground. A lot of people didn't want to protest because it's an Old Firm game, remember? This won't go away. This isn't going to stop.
See a couple of similarities that I've kind of noticed, that's kind of happened. Remember when obviously Le Guin was in charge and didn't start very well. There was questions over his understanding of what was expected. And then there was a big falling out with Barry Ferguson and ultimately lost his job pretty quickly. The similarities to what's going on here, where he's, not understanding, question really kind of strange interviews, a lot of really spooky signings going on and stuff like that as well. A lot of players coming from France for money that was kind of expected for them. And then obviously a falling out with a player and Nico Raskin as well. When saying that no player's big in the club, that the similarities to the Le Guin and Martin situation between Raskin and Ferguson, it's very uncanny. And what happened, obviously, ultimately did, Le Guin was inevitably sacked. And they reached out to a trusted hand, a guy that knew the club, a guy that understood the club, who was universally accepted back. And for me, if we were to do this, I think Steven Gerrard's the only guy that we should be looking at, because we need somebody that can come in and just come straight in and steady the ship. We don't need somebody who comes in, there's a grace period. We need somebody who can walk in and look everybody in the eye and say, what have you been doing? How has it came to this, that this is not good enough? So for me, he's the only guy he's the only man that I trust to take this on. And I know that you're speaking about Mourinho. Aye, great. But if we bring Mourinho in, everything at Ibrox now is just going to be the Jose Mourinho show. you know, the players and obviously everything else comes second. It's just going to be the Mourinho show for 12, 18, 24 months, however long he's there. Ten Hag, I think, is too much in the downward trajectory. I think that's he's obviously, you know, lost his job at Manchester United.
Just to jump in for the second round, the one thing I will see all the managers you're mentioning, every one of them's a winner.
Aye, yeah, and I feel sorry for Ten Hag at Man United. I think it would. I really don't know what's going to happen to that club. I've got serious concerns for, obviously, you know, a great club with a lot of Scottish connections and stuff. So I feel sorry for them. The fact he's lost his job after just a few games at Bayer Leverkusen, but there's another club that have just sold, you know, practically every single one of their the league winning teams. So, you know, tell me a manager that could turn that around quickly. So it's a shame, but if it's going to go, we need to move for Gerrard and we need to move for him quickly. And everyone, you know, people say this, that, and the next thing about Walter Smith wasn't universally like signed. Probably Jay won't remember a Walter Smith team. But a lot of people didn't like Walter Smith. They didn't like his style of football.
We didn't beat Aberdeen after there was a St Mirren game. Soonest left, and if we hadn't beaten Aberdeen to win the league, the Walter probably wouldn't have got the job anyway.
Yeah.
There was times where I think Walter Smith was a much better manager the second time around, and if he could have took his experience the second time around and gelled that with the team at 92, 93, no doubt would have won the Champions League that year. But I would agree with that. There was a lot of people, the fanzine used to criticise Walter's tactics and things like that. However, he was, as you say, when he came back in, it was much badly needed, basically. And there was also the scenario when we got Alex McLeish in Rangers. That was basically getting a Scottish manager in that knew the expectations of the club and knew exactly what to do. Beat Celtic, and he done that. To me, Gerrard, the owners, allegedly the owners met up with him a couple of weeks ago, but it was for something totally different. There is no way in the world, if they guys are all sitting at a table, somebody would never mention the fact that would you like to come back to Rangers one day?
Aye. And Wee Bill wasn't in the director's box and Gio was under pressure just up for a visit, was he? Aye. Very, very good.
There's no way they met up and they didn't talk about potentially coming back and managing the team. I'm on the fence though with it, because the way I look at it, I would love him back, to be fair, because I loved having him as the manager. I felt like he got the fans, he got the club. I felt like there was that togetherness when he was here, and he had that fighting spirit that I feel like we really lack now. If you look at the players on the pitch, you know, it feels like there's no fight or no desire or no passion about them. But my issue with it is that this is supposed to be a new regime, new owners, a new positive energy coming to bring the club in a new direction. And I feel like if you then go back a step and go to a manager that was brought in by a different regime and it doesn't work, it looks like they haven't got a clue what they're doing and they're just trying to look at what potentially worked in the past and go down that route rather than looking at new ideas and new ways of moving forward.
That's what happened when they brought Jock Wallace back. Jock Wallace wasn't Albert Manny an illness at the time that he probably didn't know he had it, but he was obviously diagnosed with it later on in life. And Rangers were in a really bad way, but the fans embraced it. It was fantastic getting somebody that knew the club back and loved the club. Gerrard, I've said it for about a year and a half now. I would bite the hand off you to get him back. I think he understands what it's about. He understands what it's about, and I'll tell you what, he wasn't happy being second best. But where Rangers are in the league than who, he certainly wouldn't be accepting that. There's a few names on the screen here. We're just going to put them back up of some of the top name managers that are available. Just looking at Jose Mourinho, Spalletti, Sean Dyche, Gunnar Solskjaer, Steven Gerrard, Clement, true. And there's probably another few up there as well. But there's plenty of managers out there. That's one thing I will say. I think we've lost Ryan now, but he'll probably be back on in a few seconds.
There are plenty of managers out there, and I feel like there's going to be more coming. There's going to be more sackings happening. You know, if you look at the situation with Nottingham Forest, Nuno and the owner aren't getting on. Nuno could be available in a matter of days or potentially weeks. So, and I feel like obviously results will play a huge part into as to whether we're going to sack Russell Martin or not. But I also feel like manager being available will play a huge part as well, because I don't feel like they're going to sack Russell Martin and just put an interim in charge whilst they figure it out. I think they're going to want to have someone readily there.
They'll have a plan B. The other thing as well with that is it's just when you're looking at how it's going, you think to yourself, how long For example, who's buying the players? I don't think Russell Martin's buying the players. It looks like Thelwell. He's in charge of buying the players. Is Martin happy with him? Is he unhappy with him? I really don't know. If I was Russell Martin and I've just seen us buying an £8 million player that I've never heard of, I would be an agent. But if Thelwell's buying the players, then that tells you that Martin's not got as much say as we think at the club. I really don't know the answer to that. I just think that every Rangers supporter I've met at the weekend, I was in a couple of pubs, Loudon Tavern, Oswald's, and I was in the Bristol Bar at the weekend as well. Every single Rangers supporter I've met, and they were coming for the world, unanimously wants rid of the manager.
So you are breaking news. Rangers have reported they turned a bid down for Conor Barron from Bologna.
There you go.
How much was the bid?
No mention of it. Just an approach was made, and Rangers
He was outstanding at the weekend.
I thought it was great. I thought he'd done really well. I thought really, really well. Alexander Isak's went to Liverpool as well for
125 million.
Yep.
David
Fofana has turned down a loan move to Celtic in favour of League One Charlton Athletic.
I saw that. I heard a wee bit of the phone in Radio Clyde earlier on, and their supporters are going absolutely apeshit. To be fair, I thought our fans were angry, but
and that's the thing, Si. They're absolutely 100% there for the taking, and there's at this moment in time, there's nothing we can do about it. So
guys, just to let you know that €7.5 million was the bid for Barron. That wouldn't surprise me if they go back in maybe again.
We can't afford to lose him now because we've not got time to replace him. Like we need him. I think as well for the Scottish quota in European football. You need to have certain homegrown players. So I don't know what we'd do about that if we were to lose another Scottish player. But
it gives me the impression that he's really enjoying his football in the Ibrox.
I feel
like there's still a lot more to come from him, and we need these.
How much is that in the sterling? I'm just getting this in.
For about 6 point something, I guess.
I'll tell you what, when I was in my top form in my BV days, I wasn't even getting that. 6.5 million in sterling.
It's a lot of money for a guy that wasn't even a first pick a few weeks ago. He's probably
that's other side of the coin.
If Raskin and Rothwell are both fit, a couple of weeks ago you probably regard him as your third choice, defensive midfielder as your number 6. So
the thing is, I don't look at the likes of Barron and likes of Cameron and think we need to make money on them. I feel like we need to have some sort of group here that spends a good number of years at the club. For new players coming in, they can teach them about the club, about the league, and they obviously have to be of a certain quality. But I feel like Barron has got that in his locker to be a long-term Rangers player. Same with Lyle Cameron, and I don't want to see these players be shipped off, for 6.5 as well. I mean, this late in the window, we're not going to be able to replace him.
The English market's closed. I know the transfer window closed at 7 in England. I think other parts of Europe might be 7 as well, but. By the looks of it, then Italy's still active, so there will be a few countries still active. I really wonder if there's anything else in that. Then that's quite interesting, that bid. To be fair,
it's late though, isn't it? Why are they waiting so long?
Why do these teams do that? All these clubs seem to do these last minute bids.
By the way,
weird we can't complain because we'll get 380 people watching because of it.
Aye. But why are we so late? Why are we waiting to the last day of the season to go and spend £8 million on a striker? Why was this not done? Why was this not done weeks ago with Champions League qualifiers to play?
But this is what I mentioned earlier when I said, "Is this a panic buy?" Because we waited so long to then spend this amount of money. Did it take us that long to scout the world and decide that this 3-goal striker is the one for us? I don't know. Like, why are we spending so much this late on? Maybe we just have to wait for money to come in.
I'd have much rather we kept Dessers, if I'm being honest with you, and no spent the money.
Don't know, size 30 odd. If you're actually recovering, I think 80% of the transfer fee for Dessers, I think you have to take it. So
yeah, I do.
I think you've got it makes business sense to take it. You've got a boy that you can come in that you can potentially settle in for a good few quid. We just need to hope he hits the ground running.
So the other thing I was going to mention, guys, was we bought all these defenders. I know they're loan defenders, right? We brought all these defenders in. Tavernier's still the best defender. I don't care what anybody says. And I know he's finished. I know you could argue that he's done or whatever you want, but he's still the captain of the club. He's still one of the only leaders, and he's better than the rest of them. It's
Would you
simple as
give him
that.
another year's deal in his contract? Say, would you get him around the
Aye, I
table and
think-
offer him another year?
I would, mainly because we don't have any we don't have any other defenders. Suter's contract runs out at the end of the season, and you've also got Tavernier's could run out if we don't give him a new one, and all the other defenders are all loan deals.
Yeah, I think we might have to because of that. We need to have some consistency in the back line. You know, I personally think Tav might not want to sign up for another year. He might want to do something else, but I kind of hope he does stay on because we're going to need some consistency. I don't think we're going to go in for 2 right backs next year. We also need to look at our left back situation. We got rid of both our permanent left backs, so we're going to need another left back, 2 left backs. We're going to need some centre halves. We've got a couple on loan, so. But has Tav upped his game because of the competition from Max Aarons, or are the new signings that bad that he actually looks like our best defender at the minute?
Well, one thing I will say is I don't really want to begin jumping on the back of a Rangers player, but the boy Aarons is absolutely dreadful.
I was mentioning to the other lads before. I saw today that Patterson was nearly going to Seville. I think the deal broke down, but I was like, I would take Patterson back in a heartbeat over Max Aarons, someone who knows the club, who'd fight and go and run through brick walls for the club, over someone who doesn't look up to it, someone who can't handle the pressure, wants to get sent off in Champions League qualifiers because he doesn't want to be on the pitch.
Aarons is
This is
a wee boy.
That's the last year of Patterson's contract, if I'm right in saying, maybe.
Aye. That would have
Only
been a
couple-
good. That would have been a good deal, to be honest. I remember McCoy last week. McCoy said that the Rangers players look like wee boys. Aarons or Aarons, he's one of them. They just don't look like men. Although I will say that at points in the game at the weekend, I thought Rangers were the better team against Celtic. But what I've seen so far, no wins in the league. It's nowhere near good enough for the club. We need guys that are leaders, and we don't seem to have any now, apart from Tav, and Tav keeps getting dropped. It's just it is a major concern. So what is it left of the transfer window? Half an hour?
Yeah, just under. 20
Apparently, we're in for a winger. We're staying on for a part. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling this right. I'm not feeling this Ratsaki transfer. It's anything we do with this boy, it's just going to hold Finlay Curtis back. So if we sign this Ratsaki, we need.
But is it going to hold Finlay Curtis back? Or should Finlay Curtis be playing like every game at a Raith Rovers or something in the Championship, other than playing 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
I think Curtis is earned himself a first team slot now. Maybe not a regular slot, but that boy's got a lot of ability, and I think he's definitely one of the ones. If you're old enough, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Bracket. This boy that Ryan's talking about, I think the club were first initially linked to him in the 1st of July. So it's not a new bid. Do we need another winger? I don't think we do.
We need
something. To be honest, I would take anything up there.
The other problem is Russell Martin has got a tendency to play the wingers. I mean, for example, he could have swapped Gassman the weekend and never done it. Antman playing him at the right side. He's got a habit of buying these players and playing them out of position anyway.
That's one thing that was making me lose my head at the weekend. Like, why if Mikey Moore's starting on the left and the Gasman's on the right, why after 20-25 minutes don't you just swap sides and see if you're going to have more success with them swapping? Why are they sticking to their side of the pitch? And then second half I thought, okay, he might change it up, he might put Gasman on the left. He still doesn't do it, still on the right. And then when Antman comes on, he still plays Gasman off the right, and I'm like, why are you doing that? All the goals that he scored is him coming off that left hand side. Doesn't make any sense. Antman's a right winger, but you're playing him off the left. It baffled me, and that really worries me. 2 things that worried me: one, that those sort of decisions, it makes me feel like he doesn't know what he's doing. But 2, also his substitutions. I feel like he makes them too late. He likes to see what's going to happen rather than actually try and actively change a game in our favour. What a manager really should get paid for is to make these big decisions in big moments, and I don't think he does that at all.
Back to what you're saying there about seeing the kind of 90s, run about the mid-90s, Rangers used to swap the wingers. The left winger and the right winger would just swap during the game. and it just change positions, then change back. It would confuse the defenders, and it was basically the players were kind of managing the team, and that's the kind of football I like, where the players, if we can see this isn't right, if the fans can see it isn't right, then the players can see it. There's no coincidence that some of these long-term Rangers players have fell out with the manager all at the same time. So the people are frustrated by it. It's blaringly obvious that he's playing players out of position, and it's his way or no way.
Yeah.
That's my worry with that. It's just that you buy this boy in, and there's no guarantee you're going to play him in his right position.
Gasman's probably been our strongest player so far this season. He's probably been the best of the signings that we've had. Anthony Ralston's well known to be probably the weak link in the Celtic team.
We never threatened him.
Aye, but even if like you could do something even crazy, like stick Gasman and just stick them both on just for 5 minutes, just shuffle it about a wee bit and put the two wingers over there, just double up on him, get at him, and because he'll either get himself sent off, he'll give away a penalty, you'll get round him, no bother, and just create something.
We never asked the questions to him. You're right.
Nah, but Martin done everything he possibly could on Sunday to make sure that he didn't lose. We were doing stuff on Sunday that we've never done. Like there was, John Stewart's hitting crossfield balls, massive crossfield balls that we've not seen him do all season. We've all of a sudden discovered that Tavernier can actually take long throw-ins after being at the club for 10 years. So we went full-blown Stoke at some point. So he done everything he possibly could not to play like the games he has done. And it still didn't work. Still didn't get a win.
The two teams were happy with the draw. I think the two managers. That was
neither of those two teams on Sunday deserved a point. See if there was a possible way you could actually give no points for a game of football. That would have been
Aye.
Yeah. I think maybe they should bring that in. 0-0 draws, no points to either of you. It's an entertainment business. Got to score goals. Who are you playing at?
It really was. It was dire to watch it at times, and that's supposed to be a big advert for Scottish football. It was hard. It was a hard watch.
We're supposed to send Neil Doncaster over to Sky and ask for more money.
I know.
But what really annoys me though about that is the fact that we seem to also play for the draw. I'm not sure if Russell Martin has seen the table, but we were 6 points behind. Like, I want to see us show some sort of fight that we want to go and win this league. It's almost as if we just said, let's just not lose this game and see what happens for the rest of the season. But I want us to have a different mentality. I want Russell Martin to instill a different mentality in these players. Get after them. They offered nothing.
That's good back to what we're talking about with Gerrard. One thing about Gerrard is he always made sure that Rangers and the best ability that he had would dominate the Old Firm games. And I can't think of many Old Firm games that Celtic dominated when Gerrard was a manager.
He left when we had I think we were unbeaten in the last 6 or something by the time he left.
He was 10.
I mean, especially got to Parkhead. He never feared them got to Parkhead.
It was about 9 or 10 he hadn't beat us for. He honestly was so far on top of them, it was unreal. I don't think the league's impossible not to win. I think we're still within the realms. We can do it. We need to turn this corner pretty quickly. To win the league, you probably need to have 95 points at the end of the season to get it. So anything 95 and above should pretty much guarantee you to win the league. There's 114 points to play for every single season. We've dropped 8 so far, which means we can still go for 106 if my maths is right on that. So we still get room for manoeuvre within that.
You've also got a very poor Celtic side this season. They just sold that Adamida, who I don't watch Celtic playing, right, but he seems to score against us most games. So I was talking to Lewis about this in the car on the way down. I was quite surprised that they've sold him. I don't think they've replaced him with a striker yet. They've only got 20 minutes to go, so they're in a shit streak as well for that.
I mean, they tried to bring in a Kasper Dolberg, but he chose Ajax over them. Then they tried to bring that Fofana, but he chose Charlton. They're bringing in a new winger, I think, the guy from Sweden. But I mean, they've got a lot of wingers. You know, they tried to sell that Yang, to Birmingham, but the deal fell through. So I think they've got about 5 or 6 wingers in the team. So yeah, they're missing that number 9, I think. And if they don't sort of get the finger out now, then I don't think they're going to have that target man that I think Brendan Rodgers is looking for. Because
So that's
my
back
age
to the
is
point
not
I'm
that.
making. It's a much weaker opposition this year, so this is a chance. This is when you should really be going for it. But we need to get our own house in order, and we need to get it in order quick. We cannot, even a draw against Hearts would be an incredible result. We can't keep dropping points.
I think we get one
now,
side.
Sorry, breaking news: Rangers done for the day ahead of 11 p.m. deadline. That's just come in. So no more chance of business for us.
Where was that on the Rangers website?
Sky Sports have just reported now Rangers done for the day ahead of 11 p.m. deadline. Latest from Sky Sports News: Sahil Jaidka.
Interesting. So what time about anyway?
Bedtime,
about the new guys. Aye, I've got to get up the road, so I think we'll maybe just wrap up. If you're not happy enough with that, guys. So we shout out to we shout out to the Black Bull Bar, sponsoring us for the next couple of months. Canvas Line, great Rangers bar, great staff, great atmosphere, and we welcome any support that we get, and they've always been big supporters of the Gers TV. So thank you very much. It's been a long one tonight, guys. 380 people watching live. It's been a good show, and it's been quite interesting, some of the chat. Thanks to everybody that's contributed. Gordy, to Ryan, Jay, Lewis, and Lily, who's been sitting here eating away all the props. Fantastic, guys. Thank you very much, and good night.
Cheers, all.
See you.